3 to the Words in Season podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and to celebrate with me. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you for the 52 opportunities a year that I had to speak to your heart through the Word of God. And I am so excited and looking forward to what the Lord has for us in Season 3. It's amazing how in 52 episodes, we still haven't even scratched the surface of who God is, His majesty, His wonder, His amazing love for us. Because His Word, even though it's the same yesterday and forever, and He's so infinite, the creator of the universe, He always has something, and His Word is always speaking to us. That's why we can always come to the Word of God, and He has a word in season for us. So remember, every time that you tune in, and as we begin Season 3, Jesus has a word in season for us. So the story I wanted to start Season 3 with is the story of Esther. When we meet Esther, she's an extremely unlikely person to have any sort of influence on anyone. She was Jewish, she was a woman, she was an orphan, she was by herself, and she was being taken care of by a family member after the Babylonian exile. And then there was an edict by the king that said that these many young women were to be brought to the citadel of Susa to be taken care of by Haggai. And now as Esther gained favor with the person who was in charge of the harem, she also gained favor with the king. It says in Esther 2 verse 17, "Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of the former queen." So Esther gained favor where she should not have favor because God gave her that place of influence. And as the story goes on, we see that there's an evil councilman named Haman who plotted an evil plan because he had gotten upset, and he plotted an evil plan to destroy all of the Jews. And he said, in verse 13 of chapter 3, it says, "Dispatches were sent by couriers by the king's to all the king's provinces with orders to kill and destroy and annihilate the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day, on the 13th of the 12th month, and to plunder all of their goods." So in chapter 4, we see that Queen Esther comes and she is consulting with Mordecai, her family member. And she says, when Esther's words came back was reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer to her: "Do you not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape? For if you remain silent at this time, relief and the deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's house and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: "Go and gather all the Jews in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, and my attendants will fast as well. And when this is done, I will go to the king. And even though it is against the law, if I perish, I perish." So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. And as the story goes on, again, Esther wins favor with the king. Esther wins favor when there should not have been favor. And in chapter 8, it says, "The king extended the gold scepter to Esther, and she arose and she stood before him. And she said, 'If it pleases the king, and if he regards me with favor and thinks it is the right thing to do, and if he is pleased with me, let an order be written overruling the dispatches that Haman devised and wrote against to destroy the Jews in all of the king's provinces. For how can I bear to see disaster fall on my people? And how can I bear to see the destruction of my family?'" So Esther, time and time again, when the devil was trying to destroy her place of influence, her family, the Lord turned it for her good over and over. And what started out as an extremely unlikely story, as just a regular person, a woman, an orphan, without any connection, she was gained favor because of the Lord to be able to save an entire people and an entire nation. And that was in my heart for you today, that as you believe in your heart and confess with your mouth, and you become a Christian, a Christ follower, you are doing that not only for yourself, which is an amazing thing and an amazing journey and relationship that you begin, but it's also for your family. It's also for the people that are around you, that you are on behalf, you are being Christ in the earth. It says like in Colossians 1:27, it says, to them that God has chosen to make known among the Gentiles the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. The hope of people seeing Jesus Christ in the earth is through you. Just like Queen Esther saved an entire people by saying, if I perish, I perish. It doesn't matter. I'm going to follow God's plan over anybody else's plan. That is what we get to do as Christians. That no matter if it's popular, no matter if we're getting persecuted, no matter what's happening in the world around us, or even in our family, what they may say about us, as we are determined to stand for righteousness, to stand for Christ in us, the hope of glory, people are going to come to know him. We can believe that the salvation of the Lord will come to us, to our homes, and to the people around us. In Lamentations 3:21, it says, yet I call this to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because the Lord has great love, we are not consumed. We are not consumed by sickness, disease, by all of these things, because he made a way through Jesus Christ. That is why we're not consumed. For his compassions, they never fail. And they are new every morning. And maybe you feel like, God has failed me or God has left me. Let me reassure you that his compassion has never left you. He knows exactly where you are, and you are not alone today. It says, I call this to mind. I remember this. That's why it's important. That's why I call it the Words in Season podcast, because Jesus is that word in season. And as we call his word to mind, therefore we can have hope. And it is because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. For his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness. And I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, and I will wait for him. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. And it is good to wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. Esther waited for the salvation of the Lord. There's no way that physically she could have fought off the armies of her own kingdom. But she waited on the Lord with her attendants and with Mordecai and with the other Jewish people. They waited for an answer. And she said, if I perish, she had that resolve. If I perish, I perish. And we can have the same resolve. No matter what's going on, we are going to stand for Jesus Christ, because we know his compassion is always with us, that he is our hope, and his faithfulness. If he said that he will do it, he will do it. It's sometimes we faint in our mind, and that's why it's so good to go to the Word of God to remember what he has said. In Proverbs 4, it says, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. So we don't have to worry that we're going to be overcome with darkness, because it is light. It is light that is overcoming the darkness. Jesus is the light that no darkness can ever consume. And the light of Jesus Christ in you, no one can ever stop. No one can ever quench or put it out. People know, whether it's in heaven, whether it's principalities and powers, or whether it's people in your office or people in your pathway, they know that there's something different about you. And as you show them the love of God and the compassion of God, you can say, it's Jesus. It is Jesus. So we can have that resolve, just like Queen Esther had. Mordecai told Esther, well, maybe you were brought here for such a time as this. And Esther took that resolve and said, if I perish, I perish. Esther took up that calling, that call to stand for what was right, the call to stand for her people. And we are standing for others that are around us. We are standing for those that are suffering, those that are lost, those that have never heard the gospel. We can stand for them in prayer. We can stand for them in showing them the love of Jesus. We can stand for them in extending our hand through compassion whether it's through finances or volunteering or whatever it is that the Lord has put in your heart. You can say, if I perish, I perish. And you think, well, I'm not necessarily coming against an actual life and death situation. No, but sometimes it means I have to click off my phone. Sometimes it means I have to wake up earlier. Sometimes that means I give up a Saturday. But if I perish, I perish. If it means that I have to die to myself so that someone else could know Jesus, it's worth it, because you have been called for such a time as this. If your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life, He is calling you to a higher calling than what you are right now, where you're at right now. He is calling you to live a life that is eternal, with eternal benefits, eternal things right now. It's so easy. The devil, the enemy wants us to keep our minds on these earthly things. But Jesus, He wants us to lift our eyes up. That's what it says in Proverbs 4, that our path gets brighter and brighter. There is no darkness on our path because Jesus is with us and He is the light of the world, and now He is in us always. So I want to welcome you to Season 3 of the Words in Season podcast. Remember that the word in season this week is that your path gets brighter and brighter, and you have been called wherever you are. Wherever you've been placed in the body, you have been called for such a time as this. Remember, you can subscribe, you can share in your social media. Remember every time that Jesus has a word in season for you.
When life's got me weary, when I'm feeling